Hello there, this is TDN Africa, bringing you the news updates. Today is me, Alimatu Judge, from our studios here at Sanders Street. First, the headlines. Following the CSW in New York, the Ministry of Gender and Children's Affairs presents the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act, Gateway Act 2022, to the United Nations. The Acting Director of Information for the Ministry of Information and Communications, Mr. Emmanuel Abitue, has told TDN that the ministry is developing a policy that will regulate the filming industry. As the country draws closer to the June 24, 2023 general elections, ECSL Director of Media and Communications explains the Commission's readiness for the upcoming elections. First Lady launches the Hands of Her Girls Male Strategy. Those were the headlines. Now the news in detail. What I used to do is, even when I do news, okay. The news in details. Following the CSW in New York, the Ministry of Gender and Children's Affairs presents the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act, Gateway Act 2022, to the United Nations. On last Friday, 10th March 2023, Sierra Leone hosted its first event on the margins of CSW in New York. The event, which was hosted by the Ministry of Gender and Children's Affairs in partnership with Purposeful, was centered on the topic Advancing Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women in Sierra Leone. In her opening statement, the moderator and Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Madam Mamadi Gobe Kamara, marked that Sierra Leone has come a long way in the emancipation of women. She noted that Sierra Leone is a signatory to many international and regional normative frameworks, including the Convention for Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, and the Maputo Protocol for Women, stating that since women make up 52% of Sierra Leone's population, it's important that laws are put in place for the protection of women and girls. Given the background of the newly passed Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act 2022, by the Minister of Gender and Children's Affairs, Honorable Manti Tarali, the Minister highlighted how the enactment process began, which she said was initiated by the development of the Gateway policy as the overall framework. Speaking to other international women organizations at the CSW, Honorable Minister Manti noted that the policy includes 13 objectives in 10 sectors. She added that the implementation of that policy took two approaches: mainstreaming and the groundbreaking law. The minister, however, noted that the ultimate change came when His Excellency the President Julius Maada Bio went on public television and radio to say he supports the bill and called on Parliament to pass it. Speaking on behalf of the UN family, the Deputy Executive Director of UN Women, Ms. Asa Regner, congratulated the minister for the Gateway Act, stating that it is really a landmark law. She continued to note that according to research data from UN Women, when one's legislation is introduced to advance the gender agenda, drastic changes happened She concluded that UN Women's commitment to supporting UN Women are committed to supporting the implementation of the Act. The Acting Director of Information for the Ministry of Information and Communications, Mr. Emmanuel A. has told TDN that the ministry is developing a policy that will regulate the filming industry. In a bid to regulate and censor products and operations of the film industry, the Acting Director of Information, Ministry of Information and Communications, Emmanuel A. has told TDN Africa Media that the ministry has finished working on the framework of the film policy, which will soon be tabled before Parliament. Speaking to TDN Africa Media, Amadou Esbatue explained more.
Activities, programs, policies, etc. So, it's all in line with information dissemination. You were talking about freedom of expression. People are saying whatever. People are saying whatever. Which is there? IMC is there to regulate media institutions in the country. To enhance tourism. For instance, we have what we call internal film tourism. You want to see where a season this of so short made in Sierra Leone. How is it done? Or when they are doing it, you go yourself to see. Because most people don't even know how film is produced. People want to see all of this. It can make our children, the students, take excursion trips to see some of these things. Or they may want to see, like when we went to China, they took us to the film village. It's something very interesting. You may think it's a whole world for itself. But when you go there, then you begin to see that some of these things are even done within a shed. What do I mean? A small house. Yeah? They do everything in there. You will never believe it. So some of these things attract investment in country as well as tourism. So the policy is already towards the finalization.
That was the Acting Director of Information at the Ministry of Information and Communication, Emmanuel, speaking to our reporter. As the country draws closer to the June 24, 2023 general elections, ECSL Director of Media and Communications explains the Commission's readiness for the upcoming elections. Looking at the development around election preparedness, citizens are calling on the Electoral Commission in Sierra Leone to give more insights to the public on which the election will be held. To talk about how prepared the ECSL is before we get to the elections. Apologies for the technical hitch. First Lady launches Hands Over Girls Male Strategy. The First Lady of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Dr. Fatima Madabio, has engaged adolescent boys from various schools. According to the Communications Unit at the Office of the First Lady engaged adolescent boys on an open and frank talk on the Hands Over Girls campaign. The engagement took place at the auditorium of the City Council building in Freetown on Friday, 10th March 2023. According to the report, the official launch of the male strategy of the Hands Over Girls campaign targeted over 1,000 adolescent male pupils from various secondary schools in the country. Educating the boys on the need for them to embrace gender equality as a yardstick for development and not to see it as a competition between men and women, the First Lady called on the boys to be defenders of girls' rights. First Lady Madam Fatima Bio went on to encourage the boys to pay great attention to their education and support their female counterparts. Without gender equality, development is stifled, Mrs. Bio noted. Mrs. Bio spoke of her passion towards the welfare of the boys while noting that her focus on the girls over the years is to ensure proper grooming for the most vulnerable groups. She went on to announce that the Hands of a Girls Meal strategy seeks to achieve a better understanding of the welfare of the boys as well as to ensure they're empowered with the required education to be partners in the support of girl child. The First Lady also used the platform to send appreciation to stakeholders that have been collaborating with the Hands of Our Girls campaign. She called on the boys to take advantage of the solid foundation the President Madabeo has laid for them. She advised the boys to be mindful of bad politicians and we want to use them for violence and other electoral malpractices. Politics is for politicians and not for children, she emphasized. Giving them the opportunity to ask questions, make suggestions, and share opinions on welfare and other relevant issues. The boys call on the First Lady to not lose sight of the boys, as they believe the empowerment of girls ought to be juxtaposed with the boys. Crowning the lunch, the boys were treated with electrifying music performance from popular musicians including Upji, Stazzy, Famous, Empress P, and many others. That's where we'll draw the curtains down on our news updates for today. I've been your presenter, Alimatu George, and our news update is coming live from our studios at Sanders Street, Brookfields, Freetown. Until next time, I'm Alimatu George. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.